what we got out of it, which I thought was important, was a new perspective on intellectual property. And I think that will be very helpful going forward. So I'm Christianne Street, we're SCFCan, and we are a waste to resource company using our supercritical fluid technology. Hope to convert all kinds of industrial wastes into economic wins and environmental wins for everybody. I think before we started working with the IP link, we were firmly set in the trade secret camp for financial reasons, for some philosophical reasons regarding patenting. And I think that if we had continued down that path, we probably wouldn't have ever thought of our technology as patentable or pieces of our technology as patentable. And I think now we understand that that can be a very valuable piece in our corporate portfolio, is to have those patents, and is something that we are trying to incorporate into our thinking more regularly as we develop our technology. To be perfectly honest with you, it was largely financial, which brought us to financial reasons that brought us to the IP link. We're a small startup company, and we certainly didn't have the money at the time to engage with an IP lawyer. We knew IP was something that we had to think about. And then through the Aaron program, we were matched up with the IP link and Trevor. And we realized that there's a very affordable way for us to start thinking about IP very seriously. And if the time comes for us to engage an IP lawyer, we understand that we can actually make that much more efficient financially, having gone through the work that we've done so far with the IP link. I think the change that happened when we were working through the materials was that just doing the work and breaking down our technology into the pieces and looking at what we had already published, looking at where we plan to go with our business and some of the technology advancements we were planning on making, and just looking at that in a different light because we had done the work to break it down with Trevor's help. Certainly, we were definitely firmly in the trade secret camp. Our understanding was that we had published enough that there wasn't really anything left to patent. And we had a somewhat negative view of patenting in terms of the cost to patent, the cost to maintain patents, and what it actually offered us in terms of part of our portfolio. And so we were very pleased to learn more about the overall patenting process, and that by going through the IP link materials, that we could actually help ourselves when we got to the point of patenting and help with some of that financial burden. If I was speaking to a startup founder who was on the fence about what they should do about their intellectual property, my first piece of advice would be not to leave it, that it's something that you have to think about. You have to think about regularly. It has to be active conversations. And that, if there are financial constraints that are preventing you from, going to an IP lawyer, that a place like an IP link should really be your first stop, whether you have the money or not for a lawyer, because they really help to hone your thinking, get all your thoughts down on paper, sift through what's there, and be ready to talk to an IP lawyer. So in terms of getting ready for the patent, I would highly recommend it, and do it now, not later. Yeah, so within our team, there were quite varied opinions on how intellectual property should be handled as a portfolio. And I think the one thing that the IP link did for us is just sort of open up those conversations amongst the team, and to also just provide some facts rather than, these are my feelings about patents, or these are my feelings about trade secrets. It's more like concrete. This is what a patent can do for you. This is what a trade secret can do for you, and all that kind of stuff, right? So it just really brought clear facts and a place where we could ask questions if we had questions more regular. And that's the other thing that I think linking up with you guys helped, was this sort of like regular visiting of our intellectual property strategy and making sure that we're protecting ourselves. And yeah. It's been a pleasure. Thank you kindly. Thank you for everything. I just feel like we're that much further ahead in our intellectual property understanding. And yeah, it's a nice feeling.